So this morning, burp is going to be hard to see, but I wanted to make the font big enough that you guys could see. So this morning, I captured some traffic. And so you can see here, Lean Plum, Let Go, Akamai, that looks good. MoPub, App Flyer, Crashlytics, some more Akamai, New Relic, Amplitude. It's a lot of domains for one app, right? It's a lot of, So let's look at, let's see, Crashlytics. Let's see what that looks like. So this is HTTP traffic. I don't even know. This is so big, I'm not even sure if I can. There it is. Okay. So this is what the request looks like. So a post to Crashlytics. It's so big, you guys can't even see anything. It's all the way down here, and I can't pull it up any further. So what you can't see is, see all this, question marks and all that junk? So this is a gzipped, deflated blob. So what I would do is I would copy all of that, send it to Decoder, or utilize a tool. So the one thing about the deflator tool, or I'm sorry, inflator tool, decompressor in Burp, is because this content type is mixed, it's actually a forum post, and it's not all a gzip blob. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to inflate this. But you can just copy it and send it to Decoder, and then with Decoder, you can click the gzip, or you can send it somewhere else. So let me just give you an idea of the amount of data that it actually sent out. So this is to New Relic. These are all of the URLs that were processed in like a 30-second time period. So you can see here again, branch.com, Amplitude, MoPub, Apps Flyer, Crashlytics, Amplitude again, Facebook for Graph and whatnot. And you can see all the path parameters, any URL parameters, etc., whether it was post or get, etc. Tons and tons of stuff. And then you can see here what I was doing while those were being sent, right? So this was, I was looking at the display name for the Let Go Notifications View controller. Then I was doing the Cell Navigation controller. Then I was doing, like, literally just one after another after another. And again, this is like 30 seconds of traffic. Tons and tons of communication going out, and it's all this. So like, yeah, that's, URLs and controller class names. Like that's, some stuff, not incredibly concerning. The version of iOS, whether it was native app or hybrid. Sorry, make you dizzy here for a second. There's some other identifiable information, but nothing too crazy. So let's go back here. Show you one more while I have the time. I think I have 5 minutes. I kind of shot myself in the foot. I made the font size bigger so you could all see it, and then the resolution also got bigger. So it's a bit tough to see. Basically, 3 of those, let me go back here. I'll tell you the names. Again, not shaming. App Flyer, Branch, and Crashlytics, I believe, all received direct GPS coordinates for where I was this morning. And I don't mean like, yeah, Kevin was kind of in this area like Bumble does, right? They say, well, he's kind of in this area. You don't even know exactly where he is. No, I'm talking like, this is the hotel that I was in, and this is where it said I was. Like, exact location of where I was sent to at least 3 different providers. My JWT session for Let's Go was sent to one of those. So again, well, you think, okay, well, we have agreements with them. They're not leaking data. They might not be monetizing that data, et cetera. But what are the security controls for logging into their portals, right? Because that's their servers, not my servers. Do they have default credentials? What's their data retention policy? Are they GDPR compliant, right? Things start to snowball. And again, this is just 30 seconds of app traffic for one little app that I happened to find, and now my GPS coordinates for this morning were sprayed across at least 4 different domains within a matter of 30 seconds. Right? This is some concerning stuff, and I wish I could show you more. Unfortunately, the resolution is not set up for the best. But a couple more minutes here. I'm going to have a blog follow-up coming out soon on Invisium.com. This is going to do some analytics on the analytics, which is a little meta, I know. But basically, it's going to break down like how many apps were sharing this amount of data, how many apps were sharing that amount of data, etc. I'm also going down the route for Android of utilizing the CERT Tapioca tool. Has anyone heard of CERT Tapioca? So I happen to live in Pittsburgh, so I have a little bit of CERT ties for the Software Engineering Institute. CERT has a tool that they developed, which is basically built on OpenVM, that basically spins up ephemeral Android VMs, and you can do MITM proxy on them, and then it tears them down and then goes to the next app, right? So it's basically an ephemeral environment for spinning up a bunch of Android devices, looking at app traffic and going. The concern there, again, is it's hard to know how much data is leaking if you don't know to search for it, right? When I see my social security number leaked somewhere, it's extremely scary to me. If I see Brian's social security number, it looks like a telephone number. Like, I don't know, right? It doesn't mean anything to me. It's just random noise. So it's a little tough to find all the regexes. It's a little tough to find all of the data that could be concerning. That's why it's a little bit of a manual process. So I'm trying to automate, and at the end of the day, I'm still going to keep flagging these issues when I see them for my clients. I'm still going to continue to look for them. The fact of the matter is, most of these are out of scope for bug bounties. Right? It's not their domain. When you go out to the bug bounty and they say, hey, you can hit all of jet.com's domains. Well, Crashlytics isn't on jet.com, so they don't, you can report it to them, but they will probably say, hey man, that's out of scope. Stay in your sandbox, right? So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep flagging. I'm going to keep going on. And the last thing I have to say is we need more people looking at this because it is intensive. I don't know what data is important to you without knowing your data. I can keep doing it on my own, but I'm one guy, or we're one consulting firm. So we need more folks looking at this. We need more folks looking and utilizing some of the tools I mentioned. I will also include the tools in the follow-up blog, and everyone can have my slides. And if you have any questions, ping me. Thoughts, questions, concerns, how-tos, I'm happy to help. But only for legal, passive activities. I cannot give you permission to actively send any traffic to any domain that you don't have rules of engagement for. So thank you to BSides Knoxville staff, volunteers, all of you. Come and sit with me. It might be raining outside, but you came in on your free will, I know. Family. You guys are lucky. Your BSides is on a Friday. A lot of BSides are on Saturdays. So you got to miss a day of work maybe where... I wouldn't say I'm missing it. So I got a couple minutes. I'll open up for questions, thoughts, concerns. Yes, sir. A good question that I didn't include in my slides. Thank you. So his question was, how can we like sinkhole the traffic, right? What can we run on the phone to say like, don't send any data to Crashlytics, don't send any data to Fabric, and that's a great question. So there are, Android has a few different firewall APIs where you can do regexes in different domains. Hopefully domain fronting is on its way out, so that'll hopefully keep that away. But yeah, there are definitely tools in Android. iOS, the best tool, and my coworker will tell you, I'm going to have their logo tattooed on my chest because I use them so often. It's Surge Proxy. It's NS Surge. It's a little pricey for a proxy tool. It's $50 on the App Store, or 50 to 70 for a client seat. But in the grand scheme of things, 50, 70 bucks for a security tool is nothing. It's just the most I've ever spent on one app in the App Store. So it's all relative. But yeah, so there are a couple. The NS Surge one is what a lot of Easterners use to get around the Great Firewall rules. So they basically, they'll send a bunch of stuff to proxies, and they'll sinkhole a bunch of stuff, and it's really, really cool. If you want a demo of that later, buy me a drink, and I'll show you. It's a pretty cool one. So yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
How do you discourage the analytics company from profiling the fact that you're a security researcher or that you're running a VM, which is easily identifiable? Because that's no
Yeah. Yeah, so the question, just to repeat for the back, is what if these companies start to kind of lay low depending on some indications, whether it's running in a VM or they start like blackballing me specifically, like, oh, this is that Kevin Cody guy who's disparaging us, don't let him use our app, right? And that's a question, because I've actually seen this not so much for like discouraging researchers, but in the threat world, there's actually firms out there that will look to see if an app is running in a VM, and if it is, your threat profile goes up and you might not be able to, say, make a payment or something like that. There's commercial tools out there that do that. So that's a great question. I'm not sure that I have a big enough profile or target on my back, and I haven't automated it well enough to worry about it yet. But
it would be trivial for like Facebook to send a small amount of data if it sees it running in a VM.
Yeah.
And a large amount of data if it's running on a real phone.
Absolutely, yeah. So like, just like malware, right? If it's running on a VM, if it's running on a single core processor, which not very many people have single core processors anymore, there's ways of trying to identify researchers versus people who are actually using devices and accessing. So that's and obviously they have all that information because we saw in the dashboard, right? So great question. Anyone else? Awesome. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much. Love Knoxville. Thank you.
it picking up? Awesome. All right, so those of you who have worked with me or been at DC865 back before I moved away, you know who I am. I'm Adam Compton. Those of you who don't know who I am the weirdo in the overalls who's presenting at BSides Knoxville every year. So, my name is Adam Compton. Today we're going to be talking a little bit. Originally, is that not working? Okay, I have to see if that's working. But originally, I was going to be giving a talk on a new tool I was going to be creating. I haven't got quite to the point where I've got the tool ready for demo yet. That's fine. I still got to use the rest of my slides, and I've beefed them up for everybody. It's more of a, how do you do OSINT? What is OSINT? A primer for OSINT? Just stuff like that. Just the different techniques, get a good variety of information out there for everybody. Predominantly for pen testers, but it can be used by anybody. And you're not working. Oh, well. There we go. That works then. So, first of all, who am I? Short answer, I'm a father, I'm a husband, son, brother, standard stuff that everybody, well, not everybody, not everybody's a brother or son or whatever, but still, I'm a programmer, pen tester, researcher. I've been in the InfoSec field since before 2000, so I have 18 plus years in here. Most of that time has been doing penetration testing or something very akin to that, red team, blue team, something like that. I've done some software development in there. I've done some vulnerability research in there. I've done a bunch of other things, but I've been involved in information security for well over 18 years at this point. And yes, of course, at the bottom, I'm a hillbilly. I actually get to claim I am. I was born and raised in the mountains of Appalachia up in Pike County, Kentucky, so close enough for me to say I'm a hillbilly. Parents are both hillbillies, and so got that. Now, today's talk is going to be on OSINT. I'll let you read this. This is a quote from one of the best books best recent books I've collected on OSINT, open source intelligence gathering, stuff like that. It's by an individual named Michael Basil. He has a very interesting background. He does a lot of stuff with information gathering. He's done sort of private investigator stuff. He's done all kind of stuff out there. He's very knowledgeable on it, and I liked his little description of what OSINT is here. At its bare basics, what is OSINT? OSINT is just the ability to gather information from public sources. Now, what do you do with that information, or what are those open sources, or why are you doing it? That can vary based on the person, stuff like that, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute, but at its basic core, OSINT is just going out and gathering data. It can be, I don't know, usernames. It can be what somebody looks like. It can be going to Google Maps and just doing an aerial picture of what a location looks like. All of this is just information that's out there for public consumption. Now, with that, though, you have to wonder sometimes, is it legal? Well, first and foremost, I'm not a lawyer. Never professed to be a lawyer, and I'm not married to a lawyer or anything like that, but in the shortest answer that I feel comfortable saying is that most cases, yes. Now, there are always going to be those edge cases. If you can just go to somebody's web page and it's written right out there on the www.whatever.com and it's there, that's fine. Do a DNS lookup, fine. Stuff like that, no problem at all. Now, if you're having to do something like go to a website and you see some piece of information and then there's a login portal to get the additional information and you have to find a way around that login portal to get in there to get to the data and you don't have authorization, then you're really not got a good bounds for legality there. Yeah, you got to the data, and you didn't log into it, you just found a bypass to get to it, so it gets a little iffy in there. Or we'll talk on this again later, but data breaches. Lots of data out there, and we'll talk about data breaches, like I said, that people have compromised networks, compromised systems, take all this data, dump it out to the web, to places like Pastebin or wherever you, and people download all that. Well, it's out there on the web. That means it's open now, right? I can go and grab that. Your mileage may vary, but fundamentally I would say is if you do not have valid access to that data normally, don't go and download it, because you might make a situation hard for you or your company or something like that. If you are like the OPM data breach that came out a couple years back, if you have a security clearance and you grabbed hold of that and you had access to it, you probably lost your security clearance. So they're probably not going to do much more to you, but you've then violated a trust relationship there. If you get hold of a data set from another company as on your own, you got it and you downloaded it to your work company, now there might be some friction or some legal action between their company, and your company gets involved instead of just you. So be careful with this kind of stuff. If it's a piece of data that you can access freely without having to bypass any security mechanisms, or didn't come from some illicit activity or something like that, you're probably safe looking at it and having it and all that. But now if you had to do a direct object reference to bypass some sort of security to get access to the data, or it's a data dump or something like that, yeah, be cautious. It's your career, it's your livelihood, it's all that. Just be cautious with that. And like I said, I'm not a lawyer, and you probably have good in-house lawyers for each of your companies, so hit them up and talk to them about that. Now, with that out of the way, what is OSINT? Why do we do OSINT, get back onto OSINT and stuff like that? Well, because it's a useful tool. Sometimes you're sitting in a situation where if your pen tester company says, here's this external web app, see what you can do, or external facing system, see what you can do. And you come into it completely blind, you don't know anything about it. Well, you can start hammering away at it, run Nmap, do all kind of stuff and look at it. Or you can do a little bit of OSINT and just try to pull some information back to help prep you for it. Maybe it's a login portal and you have no idea what some usernames are you can try. Well, you can do OSINT to try to gather usernames or employee names. Then you can use that to feed that into like a password guessing technique or something like that. It helps feed into, as a catalyst of sorts, other activities down the road. Or it might be that you're wanting to do a background investigation on a new employee, or you're a private investigator or something. In those cases, OSINT is very useful in those cases because you can get access to all this data without having to pay for it in most cases. And there are other cases where you might have to pay a minimal fee, something like that. But it all depends on what you're going after, as we're talking about here. But it's mostly because it works. So it's the same reason when I do presentations on why do people do social engineering, why do people do all these other things. They do it because it works. Why do you do OSINT? Because it's going to make your job easier down the road. With a little bit of effort up front, you can gather a lot of information that probably, or most likely, will pay out in some way during your pen test or future work. Whether it's usernames, it's system types, stuff like that. We'll go through a few demos, a few tools later on where you'll see the kind of data a sampling of the kind of data you can gather. As I said, OSINT is really kind of, why do you do the OSINT and how do you do the OSINT and all that? It's heavily determined by what are you looking to get out of it. If you're just looking to gather some usernames to throw at some login portal, okay, fine, that's your goal. You're looking to get usernames. So you probably want to get the email type or a syntax. Is it first name dot last name or what have you? You probably want to get a employee listing, stuff like that. So that helps drive what kind of information you're going after. If you're wanting to do a background investigation on a new employee, well, you're probably going to go out and either pay somebody or pay minimal fees or something like that to see what kind of criminal history they might have, paid service. Or you might go out to look at their Instagram or their Facebook pages or stuff like that, see if what they talk about on there. Do they have a blog? What do they show on there? All this stuff is free, open source stuff in that case. So you can start doing that kind of stuff, looking up information on people. What is your goal? That helps. It can vary greatly depending on situation to situation, but as a pen tester, most of the time you're looking for actionable data that can help you on an engagement. For a pen tester, so in that case, you're looking for usernames, passwords, personal details if you're doing like a social engineering exercise maybe, locate somebody, that goes back into the private investigator, or also looking at going into open source social engineering exercise. If you do a little bit of OSINT up front, you'll find out that, oh, here's the employee list that I might want to target. Here's some phone numbers for it. And these individuals are located in New York, and these are located in LA. So if I want to call them or send them an email at the beginning of the day, there's a time difference there I have to be aware of. Stuff like that you can gather based on where they're located. A lot of this information is hosted on sites like LinkedIn, stuff like that. And we'll look at that in a moment. And how and where do you gather OSINT? Water. There's basically two primary sources of data collection opportunities in OSINT. First of which is internet. On the internet, you can go out, you can do stuff like search engine searches, Google searches, Bing, or Yandex, and there's other ones that are sort of meta searches like Shodan and tools like that. All of this we'll be touching on briefly as we go through. Social media, I've already mentioned LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. Online communities like GitHub and sites like that, Reddit. Data sharing and hosting. Payspin, great source of data out there. You also have SlideShare and Gist from GitHub, where people post up just little snippets of code and data. If you're going after somebody at a company or a company itself, their corporate website is a great resource to go look at. They have stuff like job listings and employee lists and all kind of stuff like that. The other option is tools, not just browsing the web and looking at stuff, but using tools like system tools. There's a lot of tools built into the operating system that you can use to help leverage for some information. Then, of course, there's a whole suite of pen tester tools out there. Most of them can be found on Kali. You can go search new ones out there. They're on GitHub. There's all over the place. There's a couple resources I'll give you at the end of the slides that tell you where you can go find some of these other tools and capabilities out there. And these slides will be hosted up on SlideShare later on as well as on my site. I'll give all that information out. And then APIs. A lot of online sites also give you the ability to do a programming interface to it, an API, that you can either go to the website and type it into the URL sometimes it allows you to incorporate it into your own tools, stuff like that. We'll be touching a little on all these, so let's go ahead and jump into some of the internet stuff. And I do remember those days. This is just typed in Internet Explorer and old XP into Google, and this is what popped up, and I had to laugh, and I put it in there. I remember the days I actually went out to Slashdot. Haven't been there in years now, though. I replaced that with Dig, and then I just went away from that altogether and went with Reddit and Twitter and what have you. So as I said before, you have some of the standard stuff on the internet. Search engines, you have stuff like Google and Bing. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, the list goes on and on and on. Snapchat, all that kind of stuff. Online communities, GitHub, Reddit, data sharing, talked about that, company sites. A few of the examples up there. Search engines, a lot of people think just Google when they think search engines. It's not the only one out there. It hasn't been the only one out there forever. Before it, you had a lot of other search engines. Mozilla, all of them had their own. But you have Bing, you have Yandex, Baidu. DuckDuckGo is a great one. It's sort of a meta search engine that searches other search engines sort of stuff and gives you some interesting data. It has a few features built in that prevent it from being scraped as easily, but it can be done. Yes?
I'm going to say, like, with DuckDuckGo, it's supposed to be a more privacy-conscious search engine where it doesn't necessarily tailor your results, whereas Google or Bing,
Yeah.
Like whatever data they have on you actually influences your search
Right.
results right there.
Correct. But at the same time, most of these, like Google or Bing, I tend to do it in sort of a incognito or a version like that where it doesn't use my own cookies and all that anyway. So, but you get around that a little bit. But yes, DuckDuckGo is a pretty awesome site. Go check it out. but it does like some of the nice OSINT features that sites like Google itself has. And but also, if you're looking up something on an individual or a company that's in another country, see what their search engine of choice is on that country. Is it Yandex? Is it Baidu? Is it whatever? Go and use that as well. Google is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Google. I have a Google phone. I have all this stuff. But it is not going to be the best in every situation. Sometimes even Bing will get you different results than Google. Use a variety of these. If you have a lot of tools, I'll talk about one later on, the Harvester, you can tell it to go out and find any data it can on a particular domain, and you can tell it which search engines to use. By default, I go with Google, but sometimes you can say do them all. We'll go out, search Google, Bing, all that, and append all the data together, sort it, and present it to you. Because sometimes the other tools will find you things that Google won't. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. People love to go out onto these sites and share lots and lots and lots of information. Where have you worked at? Who do you work with? Who are your coworkers? What's your job title? When's your birthday? What's your address? What state do you live in? Who's your relatives? Is it their birthday? All this information is out there that people love to share, and I don't really understand why in a lot of cases, because some of this, I'm like, no one outside of your family should know some of this information, and if they're in your family, they probably already know this information. So, and a lot of these sites also, they're getting better as time goes on, absolutely, but they tend to default on the give more information than is necessary as opposed to be on the privacy side, because they're a social sharing site. They like people to share. So unless you go in and explicitly turn off the sharing, most of these sites are going to give out a lot of data. So let's go ahead and jump over, and we're going to look at a couple little OSINT techniques on some of the stuff we've already talked about there. Let's jump over here, see if I can get my screen showing up here. Nope, not that one. Give me a second. Technology is hard. I'm old. I don't understand it. It confuses me. All right. Where am I at here? Get it a little bigger. All right. Let's go and look at some search engine stuff. Basically, let's just go to Google here. One of the first things you can always do on Google is, let's just pop up, let's just go over here. Search engine, there. Just search for the site command, site : and then a company name or company domain. And it will only return results that have rapid7.com in this case. You could do the same thing or Google up there, but yeah, they should all come back with rapid7.com as their domain name. You could do the same thing with other ones. You could do Apple, what have you. You could do that, and then you could say, what's a good one? I don't know. Jobs. Well, Apple is probably a bad one to do, jobs, but yeah. Just realized I'm like, well, there's going to be a lot of hits on that. But still, you can see like jobs at Apple, stuff like that pops up. So you can start finding this. Getting into some of the more advanced search techniques inside of Google, you can start pulling up sensitive documents and all this stuff. There's a term for this that Johnny Long coined years ago. It's called Google dorks or Google hacking. And at the time, he was maintaining this, and after he got out of doing an actual exploitation and talks and all that, and he decided to go off to Uganda, he gave this over and gave it up, and the people over at ExploitDB picked it up and ran with it. So let's go to ExploitDB hacking database. So they've taken it over, and it's still going. As you can see there, you have May 18th. There's a new one just thrown in there. So you have all this stuff that just keeps coming in here, all these different search terms. Let's scroll up here. Like in URL, that has to show up in the URL. You can do site. You can do, some other ones down here. In the title, you can do file types. You can do all kind of stuff in here. Let's jump to, let's see here. Footholds is a good little one here. Search. See what we got. So, oh, here, this top one. That looks like a C99 shell fingerprint. So let's click on that. It tells you about it, who uploaded it, what's the search. Let's go ahead and hit the Google search for that. And you're not working. Why not? Work. You just worked a second ago back at, yay, live demos. Let's go back over here. Why are you not working? Absolutely. Let's try that one more time. And no. Am I offline maybe? Let's try this. Let's go Google. Nope, I'm still up there. Oh well. Let's just get rid of that. Let's try it. If this doesn't work, we'll try a different one. Yeah, there we go. But that's not the one I was looking for. Oh well. Let's try a different one here. Let's go back. Snow shells. Sure. See if that one. Yeah, there we go. Any one of these would probably do it. So snow shell, in title, snow shell. But yeah, click on one of these and send a tech DOS. Yay! I don't want to do that. But you can see what all you can find in here. Let's go back to Google Hacking Database. And you can see they have categories in here for footholds, files containing usernames, sensitive documents, web server detection, vulnerable files, error messages, network vulnerabilities, all kind of stuff. You can go down here to files containing passwords. There's all kinds of stuff you can find in here. Let's just jump back here a ways and see what we have. Is there anything that looks interesting? Oh, right there. File type, inc. So it's a .inc file. That, and then the name or somewhere else in there is going to contain MS SQL Connect or MS or MySQL Connect. So let's search on that. Yes, I am not a robot. Thank you, Google, for checking. And why, look at this. We have a config file. And I'm betting there's probably a username and password stored in there somewhere. I'm not going to look for it too deep. But you have this kind of stuff you can do with Google. Google Docs, Google searching, all kind of fun stuff in there. Let's see what else we have under search engines. Let's say you're wanting to look at a site, but you're thinking, well, I don't want them to know I looked at their site, or let's see what an older version of the site is, because maybe they had something sensitive up there that I wanted to see that they've since removed. Well, you have some sites like Wayback Machine or Internet Archive. So let's go to www. What's a good one here? What was that? BSides? If I can, BSides Knoxville.com. You can see here, it goes back to 2015. There's some hits. Let's look at the first one here, February 16th, 2015. Let's see what BSides Knoxville's website looked like way back then. And internet is slow, but so it's loading up here, and it's still loading, and it has not very much there. You can always jump through the various ones here, different versions of it, but I use this quite often by looking at sites and saying, okay, wow, that's a Cisco one showing up there, but oh yeah, there we go. This is from March 23rd, 2015. So you can see the different versions of this website as it dates back in time. Maybe they had links in there. Maybe they had some content on there that they posted up that they don't have anymore. This Wayback Machine doesn't archive every single instance of every web page, but it indexes quite a few of them, and especially ones that people have looked up before. It tends to look them up more often and index them. This is a great resource. And you're not even looking at their website right here. You're looking at Wayback Machine right here and their server. So there's not even any web logs on their web server that you're looking at their data. It's an older version. You can do something similar with like Google Translate or Google Caches, so you can look at the current version without actually hitting their website. Search engines. Let's go to Showdown, another one of my favorite sites. So yeah, you got up here Showdown. Shodan is, for those of you who are not familiar, think if you took InMap and you ran InMap on the internet, and then you took that and threw it into a database and gave it a web front end. So people can search and sort through it for all kind of useful information. Lots of stuff can happen. And here's one example. So you can go in here and search for, I don't know, a host name, Rapid7. Let's just search for what Shodan has on Rapid7. Give it a second. All right, it comes back with 150 hits. It shows you there's HTTP, Telnet, HTTPS, NTP, SMTP, all kind of stuff out there. And this is just things that had Rapid7 in the name somewhere in there. So, but you can go a different route on this. If you don't want to search like that, go to Explore. Give it a second here. And then here's just some canned searches that they've had in there. Featured categories, internet control systems. Who wants to look up some SCADA systems or databases or video games or webcams or, wow, 3 of those in a row. Webcams, cams, netcam. People really love to look at cameras. Default passwords, Dreambox, you can go to more popular searches. All this stuff is just down through here. You can find all kind of amazing stuff in here. Yeah. Some interesting stuff in there. I'll just put it at that. So let's click on a SCADA one here real quick. SCADA systems. Is there anything showing up in there? Why, yes there is. There's something in Romania, something in Spain. All these have SCADA in the name somewhere, all that. You can use this. When you find one you like, you can click on it. It dives into that one a little bit, assuming this is low. All right. Oh, I didn't mean to go to the actual site. Okay. My fault on that. Let's just click. That should have went different. Oh, there, details. So you can click on the details. It gives you some information. Spain, it's on Vodafone. It has 22 and 80 open. Here's the banner that comes back. So you can use this to start profiling systems, looking at that. You can search on IPs. You can search for common strings. You can search for domain names and help target some of your searches in there. Amazing stuff. Like I said, if the company says, oh yeah, do some recon, you're the hacker, you tell me what my internet presence is. You can go to a site like this and say, okay, search for anything that had rapid7.com in the name or something like that, and you'll find IP addresses in there, or a bunch of systems. You take those, you go to a service like Whois and look up a reverse on the IP to see who owns that and what blog is associated with, and then you can start scanning through that list to identify additional systems. This is just one stepping stone in the process, but it is a catalyst that helps feed into other processes. The better you can get with the OSINT, the better the long run everything else is. Okay, we did that. Let's look at some social media. So here's one of the sites I heavily recommend, and we'll be touching on this multiple times. It's Intel Techniques, and it's done by Michael Basil, the guy who provided the quote at the beginning. There are a couple of sites out there, and we'll talk about them. But this one right here, you can go to Tools. Then you can go down here to like Facebook. And let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. So yeah, so you have all kind of fun stuff in here. And yeah, you can go over here and put in like their name. You can search for places they visited, all kind of stuff in there. But the one I'm looking at, let's look up Adrian.Sanabria. I think that's who it is. And let's take that, copy that, and put it down here, and go populate all of them. And then all of these are searches into Facebook for some of this. So let's go down to photos by the user. And well, there we go. We have his photos up there. Okay, that's nice. You might be able to pull some useful information out of there. Let's go down here to apps used. If you might be tagging his phone or sending him an email, it says here's Vimeo, Buffer, MailChimp, Medium. So you might target him with some sort of social engineering exercise that's saying that that account has been hacked and he needs to reset his password, something like that. This is information that is possibly actionable now because you've pulled this out of something that he uses. Let's go to events down here, future events. Pints for a purpose bike elf. You know somewhere he's going to be at, and this is May 24th at 5 p.m. Maybe he's going to be there. Maybe you can social engineering in person there. Maybe he has access to some website or some company that you need access to. Maybe he'll be carrying his badge with him that you can clone and then go back to the business. Who knows? These are the kind of things that you might want to look at. This involves a little bit of in-person activities here. But yeah, you got all kinds of stuff. You have stuff like employers. Well, who has he worked for? He's worked for Clayton Homes, 451 Research, Threat Care, Sword and Shield. You can get all kind of employees, all this. You can get all kind of information out of here. Amazing little techniques in here. So let's close some of this out. Don't need to look him up right now. So let's go up here and look at Twitter. Same sort of stuff. Twitter name, Swaba. That's Adrian's Twitter name, by the way, if you didn't know. Populate all. Let's look at his live page, or Twitter page. Okay, there we go. So you got that. What else is there down through here? Let's look at first tweet, tweets by the year, anything good in here. Profile details, yeah, sure. This is going out to another site called Follower, but it's based on his Twitter activity. What do we get when this comes up? All right, his name, when did he join? It would tell you his location if he typed in a valid location, how many tweets, followers, popular hashtags he uses, a bunch of people who have mentioned him. Maybe he's mentioned all of these. Analysis, all kind of information on him that you're helping to build a profile of this individual. We had photos of him. We had information about him, his employers. We had all this stuff from Facebook. Now we can look up on here and see who he's talking to here. What kind of topics is he talking about? What's the hashtags he's using? So you're building a better profile of this individual. Whether it's to attack them directly, you're just using it for other social engineering exercises. Maybe you're going to be doing like a whaling exercise against him, and the more information you know about him, the better. Who knows? But you have all this kind of capabilities at your disposal here. And in here, you can do other stuff too. Let's go down to like username. Well, let's go to Instagram. He has something on Instagram, I think. I don't remember what his Instagram account is. But either way, what's that? Yeah, no, he's not in here. I got his permission beforehand, by the way. I'm wearing his picture. But no, he's a good guy. He really is. Don't let him know I said that. But yeah, so that's a little bit of showing how you can do some of these kind of techniques in there. Let's jump back over to, where's that ad arrangement? Stop mirroring. There we go. Go away now. Go back over to slides. Back up there? Yes. All right. Then, once you're done with that, then you have your online communities, GitHub, Reddit, 4chan, any site that people like to have other communities. It's not really like a social media site, but it's a social site where people go and present themselves out there. This list can go on and on and on. eBay is a great one. You go in there and look for a company that is selling stuff on eBay. What are they selling off? What kind of hardware are they selling off? Oh, okay. Wow, that's a lot shorter than I thought it was. Okay, I thought it went for 50 instead of 45. My fault. Sorry about that. So yeah, you have what kind of stuff are they selling off, stuff like that. You can use that. Maybe you can buy it. Maybe you can dump some credentials off of it, some configs off of it. Who knows? All this stuff is out there for you to use. Data sharing sites. I'm going to skip the demos until we get to the end so I can do them all at once for everybody, but because I'm kind of running out of time. But data sharing, you have sites like Pastebin or Scribd if you're throwing up some, or SlideShare if you're showing some slides out there, GitHub. We'll skip over this for right now. You got some corporate sites out there, jobs. I'm just mentioning this one right now. If you go out there and look at a site that says, yeah, we have a job opening for this position, stuff like that. Well, you know they use that kind of technology. You know they have a need for something. Maybe you can make use of that in some of your exercises. At least you know the kind of technology, so you can tailor your tags to that technology, or they're wanting to use it. Maybe if you're doing social engineering, maybe you can apply for the job and get an interview. You get on site, and then you're on site. You turn it into a physical engagement, and you go and do stuff there. all kind of capabilities there. The contact us page sometimes, there'll be an employee list on there, contact phone numbers, email addresses, lots of awesome actionable items on there. Command line tools. Yeah, I can use command. I'm such a hacker. In here you have tools, system tools, pen tester tools, APIs, as I mentioned before. System tools, some of the common ones you'll find, Dig is a good one, or Host, or NSLookup, or any of the DNS-based tools that you like to use. You can query IPs to get host names and vice versa. You can do all kind of other techniques with it. There's not just forward and reverse lookups for IPs and host names. You can also get text records. You can get HInfo records. You can get all kind of information there. I've seen some places actually store who owns particular systems in the like text records and stuff, as well as default credentials, stuff like that. That's been on internal to a network, but you still can use these techniques internally. Trace route, is it behind how many hops away is it? What network is it on? Stuff like that. Some pen tester tools, lots and lots of pen tester tools out there. This is just a sampling of some of the ones I make use of. Harvester is a good one. It can go out there and it can pull down usernames and email addresses and websites, and domain names, all that. Sublisters, similar technique. Fierce, similar. A bunch of these are like that. Eyewitness can go out and do screenshots of various websites, VNC services, our remote desktops, lots more data gathering, open source. FOCA, MetaGooffield are great in that they go out and look at the metadata of files. When you save a file and publish it out there, whether it's a Word document, a PDF, a JPEG, whatever it is, there's metadata stored in there. Sometimes it's just the geolocation of where that picture was taken. If it's a PDF, what application was this created on? Whose computer was it created on? Was it scanned in by a printer? Well, lots and lots of actionable data in there, stuff that can be used later on down the road for other types of attacks. You can gather usernames and username formats, employee names, system naming conventions, stuff like that, all kind of much stuff. Let's skip over this, and we got another demo coming up right after this. APIs. There's a lot of sites out there. Have I been pwned? Hunter.io, hacked emails, people, depending on how you want to pronounce that allow you this kind of interface. So let's go ahead and jump over. I'll go through the whole slides, and then I'll come back to it in case people have questions. You have other combination tools like I showed before. Intel Techniques is one. OSINT Framework is another great one as well. ReconNG, Maltego are sort of these massive tools that incorporate a lot of these techniques into them that help you click your way through doing sort of OSINT investigations. Lots of techniques, lots of capabilities, great tools. Definitely go out and do it. Maltego has a free version. It also has a paid version. ReconNG is free. Both of these are free. Lots of services out there for people. Yeah. Final, this is where I was going to show my demo. Sorry, it's not ready yet. Some resources out there. You got those up there. Questions? I'll come back to this. I'm going to jump over to some slides or over to my other system real quick while this is just finishing up here and demo a few things. But once I'm done up here, I'll publish out all the slides in the next hour probably. I'll put them out on my GitHub. I'll put them out on SlideShare or something like that. And I'll send out a link to it on Twitter at BSides Knoxville. Just follow that. You'll see the link. I'll also post it out on mine, which is Titanus. So you'll see everything out there. Just follow it. You'll find it out there. So let's close that out. Why is that not going away? There. Okay. Jump down here. Let's jump over to here. Okay. Close that out. All right. So yeah, let's look down here. So running the harvester is one I mentioned. I'm just doing it on Rapid7 here, telling it to go out, search rapid7.com, find 500 hits. You're just using Google to do the searching here. letting it come back. It's coming down 0, 1, 2, 3, find a bunch of these. And up there you can see some email addresses coming back. See Jane Doe, Abuse, Hector, I'm butchering those names. Plaverty, which is somebody I actually work with. A bunch of email addresses coming through there. You can find possible target email addresses for phishing exercises. You can use it for finding email formats, like is it first name dot last name, first initial, last name, stuff like that. Rapid7 appears to use a wide variety of different ones, so that's probably not a good example there. Bunch of DNS names that register to Rapid7, like UPnP-check, update, scanner, sonar, blog, bunch of different ones on there. Great resource there. Let's clear this. What is that one? So using dig, simple one you can do. Again, rapid7.com, I just said dig any, so any type of file record coming back. In here you can see there's text records containing some information that might be, there's an SPF1 record, so that's for email. You have some NS records, which are name servers. You have MX records for mail servers, so you know who their mail servers and name servers are for targeting that if you wish. Some A records down here if you want to target those. If they allow zone transfers, that's great. Good luck finding that. You're not going to find that, basically, unless you're internal to a network now. But that's just a standard tool there. I'm blazing through this. I acknowledge that. Here's a good one. Let me jump back over here. If you happen to have some of the data leaks that are out there, and people have them, but you can go do it. But let's look at, where's that one at? Let's look up data leaks for Adam Compton here. And this is one where somebody's actually downloaded the data leaks with the clear text passwords and all that. So let's look at me. Adam Compton. This is the leak it came from, exploit.in, last.fm, Adobe, LinkedIn, and the clear text password that was leaked with it. Don't worry, I've changed all those. Not a problem. I hope. But then you can do it for companies as well. Let's look at, I don't know. Let's not do Rapid7. Yeah, sure. It's out there. Everybody knows it, so let's go with it. You can see a bunch of these coming out as well. Here again, you have usernames. If nothing else, you can get usernames this way of targets.
You can also see, even if those passwords have been changed, you can see if there's a pattern to the way they
Absolutely. These are going to be not corporate passwords, but they're passwords that these users have used. They might tend to use a variant of that on their corporate password. You don't know this. All right. Just let me know when I'm done, and I'll be... let's see here. Where's another one? Let's jump over here to this again. Jump up. OSINT. Data sharing. That's not the one I wanted, but that it will do too. So on Twitter, there's all these accounts out there like Check My Dump and stuff like that. So you just browse down through. Yeah, I know it sounds funny, but they comb Pastebin and Pastebin-like sites for data dumps. Again, username, password, lots of stuff out there. You monitor this stuff. Search for Pastebin for your target company name or email addresses. Be amazed at the kind of stuff that comes back. Give me money. I didn't say that. Okay, let's see here. Have I been pwned? Just a site out here. Let's jump up here to, this is one of the API ones, but like, have I been pwned? Another way to do this is like adam.compton@gmail.com. My Rapid7 one doesn't show up anything. That's why I'm not doing it. But this one does. You can see here, oh no, I've been pwned in Adobe and Bitly and Dropbox. And so all these, you can see the kind of places. So if you're so inclined to go and download one of these dumps and data breaches, you might be able to find my password in one of those. That's a way to search for that. Is there another good one in there I want to throw in there? Here, let's do this one. Hunter.io. Hunter.io is a great one. Let's see if I can pull that. HUNT.io. And then I'll be done right after this, and I'll throw my final slide back up there so everybody can see the contact. But I just searched for rapid7.com, and here's all the contact information, like usernames, where it was pulled from, just their name, first name, last name. All this is amazing information that's just out there, and this is a free API. Hunter.io, you type in the company name right here. Let's go with apple.com, see what comes up. Boom. Lots and lots and lots down through there. Doesn't tell you how many, but, oh yeah, 3,141. You can export that in CSV. All these resources are at your disposal out there on the internet. Let me go ahead and throw the final slide back up there. Yeah, that'll work right there. You can contact me at any of this. You can reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer any questions. My time is up. I need to get out of here. But yes, go back.
I was just going to point out one thing. osintframework.com is a pretty good site too. It's visual. So I'm a visual person. It helps.
osintframework.com. It's in the slide. The slides will be up in a few minutes on Twitter, on a bunch of sites. You can go there to look at it. Inteltechniques.com is a good one. osintframework.com is a good one. Yeah, so it is. I love it. It's a great site. Didn't get a chance to demo it here. Ran a little long. Sorry about that. And thank you all so much. Have a great day. And please reach out to me if you have any questions. First time I've done these slides. I had no idea how long it was going to take.